Okay. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। ॐ नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंकुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। हरे कृष्णा. So first of all, my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who have joined again a Saturday morning with nice rain and monsoon. It is very nice to be in the mode of ignorance and sleep like 2 more hours or 3 more hours, but you have chose to come and hear about Krishna and the glorious dialogue between the two divine friends, Krishna and Arjuna, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So thank you so much for joining me today. So yes, so far हम लोग ने क्या क्या डिस्कस किया है. सबसे पहले तो in the first chapter we saw how Arjuna had many doubts. Among them the prominent doubts were first of all कि all these people I'm attached to them, right? Some are my like Gurujan, some are like Bhishma Pitama is my grandsire. There are friends on the other side. There are rivals. There are uncles on the other side. There are father-in-laws on the other side. Father-like personalities. There are brothers like Duryodhana himself. So Arjuna was confused that this is a ghastly warfare. Why should I engage in that? Because after all, these are my relatives. How can I kill them? This was the first prominent doubt of Arjuna. Second one was that if I kill them, okay, uh, it will be sinful. पाप हो जाएगा अगर मैंने वो चीज किया. So he was afraid of the sinful reaction. थर्ड प्रॉब्लम वाज दैट कि अगर मैंने इनको मार दिया तो मैं क्या भोगूंगा, क्या सुख मिलेगा मेरे को? कोई सुख नहीं मिलेगा. ये लोग अगर रहेंगे तो ही सुखी हूं मैं. So better I would get killed by them on the battlefield rather than killing them. तो ये सब कुछ doubts थे, and because of these doubts Arjuna was in delusion. At that point Krishna starts speaking. Or Krishna, first of all, he established jnana. He establishes knowledge. He says that, see, there is a difference between soul and body. Soul is eternal, body is temporary. Simple. And he gives various analogies and various examples and metaphors and all those things to convince Arjuna. And there he was answering the question of Arjuna that this compassion is unnecessary. This compassion is for the body and not for the soul. That was the idea. Second, Krishna speaks about sakama karma, which is certainly refuted by Krishna himself later on. But just to address the question of Arjuna that there is no sukha or it will be sinful, these things. So Krishna spoke about sakama karma, which is acting in with desires for sense gratification or for sense enjoyment. That is sakama karma. So Krishna speaks about sakama karma uske baad mein. And Krishna only refutes it later on. So there were two reasons. One was that Arjuna's doubt regarding how he'll enjoy, Krishna was giving him a reason. And apart from that, when Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gitopanishad. So Upanishad means Vedanta, where the Vedas end. It is a summary. So Krishna is like Adi Shankaracharya says that Krishna is like a transcendental coward boy who is milking the Vedanta, who is milking the Upanishads, and that milk, the fresh milk, is drunk by Arjuna himself. And what is that milk? That milk is Bhagavad Gita, Gita Upanishad. That's why this Gita is also known as Upanishads. It's known as Gita Upanishad. So, because it is Vedanta, he must also speak something which comes from the Vedas. So, he is also speaking the flowery languages of the Vedas, and after that, he is refuting कि why these flowery don't fall for this flowery languages of the Vedas. You can see. So, that is not a contradiction. But first, he is making a statement and then refuting that and establishing a higher principle. That is how the Gita goes further. He will make arguments, and not really arguments, statements. And after that, जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़ेगा, he'll give higher principles. And whenever the higher principle comes, we have to understand कि अच्छा okay, इसके लिए पहले ये चीज बोला गया था. To understand it better and to understand the importance of the higher principle. So every statement of the Gita, we should be very careful, because people at times they'll quote out of context, something out of context. Like for example, if I quote from the Sakama section of the Gita, where Krishna says that if you do this, if you engage in war for dharma, okay, and you will get swargam. If I quote like that somewhere out of context, is it from the Gita? Yes, I can say that it is chapter number 2, verse number 31 to 37. So and so, Krishna is speaking that if you engage in the war for the purpose of religion, then you will get swargam. Okay, therefore fight, like that. And I propagate that Gita is a book, religious book, which is talking about violence for the sake of religion. If I do that, then people will be misguided, right? So it is very important for us to understand, when we are studying Gita, we have to study Gita completely, not out of context. And we have to understand and analyze critically. We have to scrutinize what Krishna is speaking, why Krishna is speaking like this. We have to analyze from each point of view, different point of views, and take the essence out of the Gita and apply it in our life. And that is the very reason why we need a commentary on the Gita. है ना? लोगों को हमेशा ये चीज, I have seen this, that people, they purchase Gita. Okay, sometimes Bhagavad Gita as it is they purchase, or of any other commentator for that matter of fact. So they'll purchase and they'll just read the translations. बोलेंगे संस्कृत तो आता नहीं, तो साइड कर दो, ट्रांसलेशन मेन है, क्योंकि वो संस्कृत का ही इंग्लिश है या हिंदी है जो भी है. परपोट इतना बड़ा कौन पढ़ेगा, है ना? परपोट कौन पढ़ेगा इतना बड़ा? कृष्णा ने थोड़ी परपोट दिया है, परपोट तो कमेंटेटर दे रहा है, परपोट तो प्रभुपाद दे रहे हैं. कृष्णा ने तो ट्रांसलेशन बोला है, तो ट्रांसलेशन पढ़ते पढ़ते आगे बढ़ो. बट हाउ विल यू अंडरस्टैंड? यू कैन ओनली अंडरस्टैंड थ्रू अ चेन ऑफ डिसाइप्लिक सक्सेशन वेयर द नॉलेज इज ट्रांसमिटेड एज इट इज. इसके वजह से what happened was that when Prabhupada he went to the west, okay, when he went to the west he saw कि बहुत सारे अलग अलग वेराइटीज के भगवत गीता है वेस्ट में वो टाइम. बहुत सारे अलग अलग टाइप के स्कूल ऑफ थॉट्स वालों ने अपना कमेंट्स दिया है भगवत गीता के ऊपर. And even today if we see, there are many people who are not devotees but still they are pursuing PhDs and all in Bhagavad Gita. It happens even from different religions. So there people were, misinterpreting Bhagavad Gita in such a way that they can gain followers and they can gain attention. More people are attracted towards them. वो सारा चीज के लिए they were editing Bhagavad Gita. Not really editing, but commenting in such a way and giving interpretations in such a way which can facilitate their school of thought, like that. So what did Prabhupada do? Very simple. Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is. है ना? Sometimes people get offended. As it is मतलब क्या होता है? मतलब क्या बाकी सब झूठा है क्या? ऐसा. But the mood of Prabhupada was that this Bhagavad Gita is is containing the same message that Krishna wants to give to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That is as it is. Prabhupada says that क्या कि like in the introduction section we discussed कि क्या होता है कि we are imperfect, our senses are imperfect, so we cannot give perfect knowledge, but Krishna is perfect and absolute, so whatever he speaks must be absolute and true, the supreme truth. So Prabhupada said that I am doing nothing but taking Krishna's message and giving you as it is, no adulteration, nothing. So when Krishna speaks, it is perfect. So that is why the name of Bhagavad Gita edition that we read is Bhagavad Gita as it is. And so we must be careful कि भगवत गीता एज इट इज तो लेके एज इट इज शेल्फ पे रख दिया. पढ़ा ही नहीं. कुछ लोग ऐसे भी करते, बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के लिए जाते हैं हम लोग, तो लोग बोलते कि भगवत गीता ले लो, बोलते कि नहीं घर पे ऑलरेडी है. अरे तो पढ़ो, बट एज इट इज रखा हुआ है. ऐसा तो एज इट इज का मतलब ये नहीं है कि एज इट इज शेल्फ पे रखो. इसके वजह से प्रभुपाद ने कभी श्रीमद् भागवतम को श्रीमद् भागवतम एज इट इज नाम नहीं दिया कि एज इट इज शेल्फ पे मत रखो भाई, पढ़ लो ऐसा. सो that is the brief introduction. So how, so sakama karma के बारे में बात किया. Then Krishna comes to a point where he speaks about nishkama karma. He says that this is a higher principle, nishkama karma. You should not have any desire for the fruitive results that is going to come. In fact, you don't have any control over them. The only thing that is under your adhikar is to perform the karma, है ना? कर्मण्येवा अधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन, that shloka के. फिर उसके बाद में कृष्णा स्पीक्स अबाउट निष्काम कर्म प्रोफ्यूजली, एंड एट द एंड ही टॉक्स about a person who is not bewildered by the flowery language of the Vedas, okay, about the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, and he's always situated within himself, and he's always happy, a peaceful, Shanta person. He speaks about such a person, and he says that when you get out of the dense, dark forest of illusion through knowledge, when you get out of it by applying Buddhi Yoga, that is when you become Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna matlab a person with steady intelligence, who is, we can say in loose terms, enlightened. A personality who is enlightened. So at this point, after shloka number 53, Arjuna asks a question to Sri Krishna, that my dear Lord, you were telling about a personality who is a yogi or he is a sthita prajna. So what are his symptoms? So now on, Krishna is going to speak about the symptoms of a person who is self-realized, who is self-situated in transcendence, steadily situated his intelligence in transcendence. And after that, he is going to speak about the, what does that person do to become like that. Like उसके सेंस कंट्रोल के बारे में कृष्णा बात करेंगे उसके बाद. And like that he will move on. ठीक है. He'll talk about the qualities of that person, symptoms of that person, then he'll talk about the sense control of that personality, then he'll say that, how can you get rid of the lower nature and control the senses. He'll tell that how difficult it is to control the senses. He'll tell that. And at last he'll tell a formula in which you can see that how a person falls down from an elevated position and gets entangled with all this material things. Itna cheez hai. And up till that it is shloka number 63. So we'll discuss those 10 shlokas from 54 to 63 today. Before getting into the shlokas directly, I would like to narrate two stories. Okay. And these stories are very closely linked with what Krishna wants to say in this section of the Bhagavad Gita. We can connect those stories and understand. तो वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग थोड़ा बेटर होगा. नहीं तो फिर ये पूरा थियोरेटिकल हो जाएगा सेंस कंट्रोल और ये सब. क्यों? क्योंकि हमने कभी प्रैक्टिस ही नहीं किया ना. The closest we have been to sense control is, I think so, diet for people who are a bit like me. So we have tried dieting, so it is a kind of sense control only. है ना, जीवा को कंट्रोल करना है अपने को, बहुत सेंसेशन आता है. And we see that we somewhere or the other, if our determination is not so strong, we fall prey to the senses, right? Because of the sense objects being so strongly attracting us. So that is the closest we have been to. तो ये सारा सब्जेक्ट हमारे लिए थोड़ा थियोरेटिकल है, या फिर ये ऐसे सब्जेक्ट है जिसके बारे में हमने ना सोच ही नहीं डाला, हमने इतना सोचा ही नहीं है इसके बारे में. बट कृष्णा वो एकदम डेप्थ में लेके जा रहे हैं अभी हम लोग को. ओके. तो दो स्टोरी हम लोग सुनेंगे ये कनेक्शन. एक स्टोरी जो रहेगा उसका टोटली ऑपोजिट रहेगा दूसरा वाला स्टोरी. दैट इज द आइडिया. ठीक है. सो लॉन्ग 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 बैक, and this is a true story, long 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 back, not even this yuga, it was very back. So वो time पे there was a brahmana boy in a village. His name was अजामिला. अजामिल करके एक ब्राह्मण था वहां पे. ठीक है, एक विलेज में. अजामिल जो था बचपन से ही एक अच्छा संस्कार वाले ब्राह्मण फैमिली से आता था. एंड दिस इज द टाइम when the four varnashrama systems and all those things are very prominent. So he is a brahmana and he is grahastha also. He has a very nice wife who is very submissive to him, very loving, very caring, young. She is there. And Ajamila had many good qualities like that of a Brahmana. He was a very nicely raised child. Okay, because he was a Brahmana, it is understood he was into all those yajnas and pujas, and he was a devotee of Shivji and all those things. So everything was going well. One day, what happened is that he went into the jungles for getting some flowers. Okay. कुछ फूल तोड़ने के लिए वो पास के जंगल में चले गए. Now when he went into the jungles, there was a low born man. Okay, a shudra in our example. Well, see, we are not talking about caste system that is prevailing today. It is some other yoga. So he was a shudra, and why he was low born, that you will understand now. And he was having an illicit affair in the forest with a prostitute. Okay. So he was having some physical affair with her at that point. And what happens is, and these people are in the forest, we can understand why they have been to forest, because they cannot do it in the public. So they were there and they were having some exchanges वहाँ पे, embracing and kissing and all. वो टाइम पे अजामिला went and he While he was plucking the flowers, he saw this sight, and he saw what is happening there. This Shudra and this prostitute, they were having, uh, they were intermingling in such a way that they were having some physical, uh, what do you say, relation. And he saw that they were having union. And Ajamila saw that sight, and somehow or other he didn't went there. He plucked up those flowers and came back. And while coming on the way, he was constantly thinking about that prostitute. He was constantly thinking how that prostitute was embracing him, and how that prostitute was kissing him, and what all they were doing, and all those things. And he was continuously thinking those things, and he was agitated in his mind, and this was going on. Okay. He came back, and he's constantly contemplating on those things now. Consequently, one fine day, Ajamila decided to marry that prostitute. That same prostitute, he decided to marry her. And of course, he had a good wife, and his family, his father and mother, all were there. He just removed them out of his house. They were coming in his way for sense enjoyment. So what did he do? He just told them, okay, bye bye, you may leave. And he married that prostitute, and he started living with her. During the course of time, they had many sons. And you know for uh, because she is a prostitute, and he wants to keep her in a very comfortable position for her sake, and for having completing their needs and wants. He started to act like rogues. He would snatch things away. He started stealing, and he started sometimes murdering people, and doing all sort of sins are there that are there on this world. Okay. He started doing all those things. And now he was getting older and older. When he was 88 years old, उसका एक नया नया बच्चा हुआ था. ठीक है. So he was somewhere 88 में, he was almost there on his deathbed. So we can say that matlab, he is very young. Okay, that little boy. And Ajamila named that boy Narayana. His name was Narayana, that boy. So Ajamila is not a devotee now. Why? Because he has lost all his good qualities. Now he is as good as a rogue only. But he named his child Narayana. And then he was very much attached to that boy, because he is the youngest son. See, in Sanskrit, na, Sanskrit is a very beautiful language. We see that in Sanskrit, the same person or the same relation is known in different names. Like, for example, if you want to say that somebody is son, okay, son, son, then we will say that he is putra in Sanskrit. Putra bolte. Now, he can also be known as Suta. है ना? He can also be known as Nandana, like Devaki Nandana is Krishna, Yashoda Nandana is Krishna, like that. Suta and Atmaja. Atmaja means Atma ka tukda hai. Atma se hi, matlab he is as good as his father. So the youngest son would be majority of the times known as Atmaja. They are called Atmaja. Why? Because he is the most dearest son. Because he is the youngest, he is almost like a person who is born from the atma of his father. So atmaja, atma se jo janma liya hai, atmaja. So this little Narayana was like that only for his father. So Ajamila was very attracted with how he walks. है ना? Children have a very uh, different, cute way of walking. They don't know to properly walk. So he was attracted to that, and he was attached to his broken languages. कि कैसे broken लैंग्वेज में बच्चे लोग बात करते हैं ना, हम लोग को भी सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है. What to speak about Ajamila? It was his own son. He had 10 sons, and he was the last one. And he is 88 now. So we can understand. So Ajamila was very attached to that child. One fine day, Ajamila is now too old. and he saw three personalities who were very lame, very bad looking, like वो लोग बहुत वो बोलते हैं ना कि बहुत डरावने थे. They were dangerous, like looking very furious, and they had copper like hair, and their hairs were standing erect on their body, and their skin tone was dark, and they had very odd faces, which is very uh, fears, like it will install fear in your heart. It was like that. So three personalities like that who are very strong, and they have some rope with them. So these were Yamadutas who came to take away Ajamila. Okay, so they came, and they ऐसा वो लोग यमपाश होता है ना, यमपाश ऐसा फेंक के ऐसा खींच के सोल को बाहर निकाल के लेके जाते हैं. So they were doing that. At that time, अजामिला वाज वेरी, वो बहुत डर गया था वो साइट देख के. और अजामिल ने क्या किया? अजामिल सबसे ज्यादा अटैच्ड था अपने पुत्र से, जिसका नाम था नारायण. एंड अजामिल कॉल्ड आउट नारायण करके, टोटली हेल्पलेस. ही कॉल्ड आउट टू नारायण. नाउ at this point, three effulgent personalities come there on that side immediately, turant. Three effulgent personalities, they come. They have four hands. They have, they are neela the varna, like they are blue, bluish, rain clouds color. They have that complexion. That is the closest complexion that we can compare. That they have shankha, padma, gadha, and chakra in their hands, and all of them, uh, they came there. Three effulgent personalities. Now they were wearing nice yellow silken garments, and they came there. They were very beautiful looking. Okay, out of this world, like that. They came there and told the Yamadutas to stop. क्या कर रहे हो? Stop it. You cannot take him from here. And Yamaduta said, "Oh my dear sirs, who are you? You certainly, by the way you look, you are not from this place. Okay, uh, you are so beautiful." And they start describing and all. But why are you stopping us? We are the dutas of Yamaraj. Okay, so Yamaraja's jurisdiction is hell and all this material world. So how can you stop us? इसका टाइम आ चुका है, हम लोग इसको लेने के लिए आए. You cannot stop us. So then they have a conversation, like for example, uh, जो विष्णु दूत. So these three personalities, they were विष्णु दूtas. So they told to the Yamadutas, they told that कि तुम लोग क्या कर रहे हो? This is not. So what is your criteria for taking someone? So they were telling that those who are sinful, we take them, and this person, he has done so and so, so and so, so and so sin, so we are going to take him, etc. And Vishnu Dutas say that no, no, he is a very pure, pious person. And now the Yamadutas are bewildered. अरे बाप रे, ये क्या बोल रहे हो आप? ऐसे कैसे बोल सकते हो? Yeah, this is pious, and they say that we have some agents here, like the daytime, the nighttime, the evening, the sun, the moon, all the demigods, and after all of these things, all the elements on the earth, and after all these things, the Paramatma who is sitting within the heart. All these people are actually witnesses to whatever we do. So in a way, हम लोग trapped है. हम लोग ऐसा कोई चीज नहीं है जो ये लोग से छुपा के कर सकते है ना. तो so these are the witnesses, they have told us कि ऐसा है. So we are dead sure कि ये बंदा sinful है. But he says that no, no, don't you know he has taken the name of Narayana, है ना. And they say that when Ajamila, for the first time, he was naming his child, he uttered the word Narayana, the name Narayana. And when he uttered the name Narayana, all his sins were lost. And after that, whenever he was calling out to his child Narayana, 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 karke, at that point, he was unknowingly performing devotional service because he is chanting the holy names. Okay? And at the time of death, also he called out to Narayana, and Narayana is our Lord, the Vaikuntapati. So he told us to come and take him back. Okay. So we see that Ajamila is confused. Ajamil उधर बैठ के देख रहा है, ये लोग का conversation सुन रहा है. And only Ajamil can see and hear all these things. So they are doing that, and these Yamadutas, they are frustrated and they go back to Yamaraj. ठीक है. और विष्णु दूतास भी वापस चले जाते हैं, और ये यहाँ पे ही रह जाता है अजामिल. तो अजामिल जैसे ही यहाँ पे रह जाता है, अजामिल उठ जाता है अचानक से, एंड नाउ ही इज ऑलमोस्ट फीलिंग एज इफ ही वाज ड्रीमिंग ऑल दोस थिंग्स, बट एक्चुअली दैट वाज हैपनिंग. ठीक है. नाउ व्हेन ही वोक अप, and he remembered all those things, those conversations and all, and he realized, "Arey baapre, I got a second chance." Right. So what did Ajamila do? Ajamil, at once he left his home, he went to Haridwar, and for 12 years he actually performed a devotional service. And after that, after 12 years, the same Vishnu Dutas, they came on a Vaikuntha airplane and took him back to Godhead Vaikuntha. ठीक है. So from this story what we understand, दी पहले का टाइम का जो लेसन है जो आएगा वो भगवत गीता वो जो वर्सेस के साथ में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे. बट द मेन एसेंस वाज नारायण. By chanting the holy names of Krishna, every sin of yours gets cut. It goes away. You are saved from the reaction because you are in constant touch with the holy name. But you see that Ajamila, even though he was so sinful, and actually he was unknowingly calling out the name. He was not calling out to actual Narayana. He was calling out to his son. But still he got the benefit. How about people who are regularly chanting the holy names with no ulterior motives, actually addressing to the Vaikuntapati Golokanath Krishna? So that is the main essence of the story. And that is the reason why Shukadev Goswami in the first place speaks this story in the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So that is the main reason. और उसके बाद में the story continues. The Yamadutas go to Yamaraj and they have a discussion there, and Yamaraj speaks Harikatha or all those things. We are not getting into detail. It is a very big pastime. I have told in a concise summary. So the idea is that Narayana, the holy names of Krishna are so potent and powerful that they can take you out of this condition. So we should regularly and constantly chant and glorify the holy names of Krishna, because there is no difference between Nam and Nami, Krishna and his holy names. So we should regularly take them and get purified. This was one story. Okay. Now story number 2, which is exact opposite of what has happened. 500 years ago, there was a great personality uh, who was living in Jagannath Puri. His name was Srila Haridas Thakur. So Srila Haridas Thakur is actually the Namacharya of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. He is known as the Namacharya because of his constant chanting of the holy names and his taste in the holy names. He would chant more than 192 rounds every single day, which comes to at least 22 hours of chanting. Okay. So for chanting 16 rounds only, we take approximately 2 hours, which is 16 rounds ke one day, and he was constantly chanting the holy names. He is known as the Namacharya of the Brahmavadva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Srila Haridas Thakur uh, was born in a Muslim family. He was born as a Muslim, but since very beginning he developed that taste towards Krishna because he was an external associate of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, who is non-different from Krishna. And uh, he developed the taste for chanting the holy names, and he developed that prema to Krishna. Now what happened is, when he was in Orissa, there were many people who were envious of him. You see, any great personality, for that matter, whatever we do in our life, we are so tiny, but still if we get success, or we are successful in anything in our life, there will be people who are envious of us and they want to drag us down. And the case is not different with all these great personalities also. People are envious because they are misguided. They don't value themselves, that's why they want to deteriorate the value of others. You know? So that is a very serious issue. But the thing is, there were also envious men who were envious of Srila Haridas Thakur, who was so saintly. He would just go into a forest and sit in a cave, and he would chant his holy name. And in that cave there was, big snake and all, who was staying there only, and he would not harm Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur was also not fearful of anything, because he was constantly in touch with Krishna. He was chanting his holy names. So Haridas Thakur was living inside the forest at that time and doing his bhajan. Okay. Some envious men, they hired a prostitute, the most beautiful looking prostitute of that area at that time. Of that time, they hired her, and they gave her an assignment. They told her that you go into the forest. There is this personality sitting there, and he would be doing whatever he's doing, and you just go there and allure him. Okay, engage in sexual activities with him, so that we can defame him here. That this person, he is showing himself as a great Krishna bhakta, but isne dikha diya apna rang. He is having affair with a prostitute inside the forest, where nobody is seeing, like that. Okay. Now this prostitute went with that motive. She went into the forest. It was the first day. Srila Haridas Thakur was chanting. This prostitute came in front of him and called him. And Haridas Thakur, you know seeing her, he was not agitated, or he didn't have anything. She was trying to somehow or the other seduce him and all those things. So she told that, let's enjoy, nobody is around, nobody would know, let's enjoy. We both are, you are also in your youth, I'm also in my youth, this is for this thing only, blah 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 blah. People try to convince you, and we also try to convince us in many ways. ऐसे simple है ना. What if, अरे यार क्या अपन को किसने देखा है, what if there is no God. Oh, these are not sins, you are just giving pleasure to yourself, after all we are all searching pleasures. ऐसा simple. So, same way, the prostitute started to seduce Srila Haridas Thakur. And Srila Haridas Thakur was sitting there, and he looked at the prostitute and he told her that, Devi, we may actually engage after some time. First of all, I have to chant my rounds. I'll chant my rounds, and then we will do whatever you want to do. I will have first. Let me chant my rounds. Okay. So the prostitute was also happy. She said, "Okay, I'll wait." So the night time, the entire night he was chanting, and he was not stopping only. He was chanting, chanting, and chanting. Next day again, the prostitute asked. Srila Haridas Thakur said, "Oh, I am my rounds. Let me complete my rounds. Please sit. After the rounds, we can, you know." And she sat there. It's not happening. And for some days, this thing went on. And the prostitute, because she was hearing the holy names which was chanted by a pure devotee, Srila Haridas Thakur, her heart transformed, and she developed bhakti for Krishna. She developed that prema, and she did a prostrated obeisances at Haridas Thakur's lotus feet, and she told that, my dear sir, I came here to allure you and show the world that you have fell down, but I was very wrong. I am so sorry. I am so fallen that I did this. I was doing all sort of sins all my life, but now you accept me as your devotee, as your servant, as your disciple, and that is how I perform. And she also took up to chanting, and she would also chant for hours and hours and hours after that. Okay, and Haridas Thakur was also happy. She was also happy, and things went on. She went up. She became a preacher of Krishna consciousness. So we see the stories are so contrary. We can see that it is so much contrast in the story. First thing, in the first story, who went to the forest? Ajamila went to the forest. And who fell down? Ajamila fell down. ठीक है. Did the prostitute approach did the prostitute approach Ajamila? No, he was not approached by any prostitute. He approached the prostitute, right? Because of that one sight, and he was contemplating those things. But on the other hand, in this story, Srila Haridas Thakur never approached anyone. Srila Haridas Thakur was approached by the prostitute, right? But still he didn't fall down. On the contrary, what happened? He delivered the prostitute and he made her into a nice devotee. You see? So there are many differences between these two people. So Krishna in this section is going to speak about sthita prajna, people who are fixed in their intelligence, focused, and steadily fixed in transcendence. He's going to talk about those people who are enlightened basically. And we can say from our example that Haridas Thakur is one such personality. So that is why I gave this Haridas Thakur's example. On the other hand, Ajamila is totally opposite of Haridas Thakur. Okay. So I wanted to discuss both this thing in contrast, and while we go verse by verse, we will actually try to uh, you know quote that verse and find out in this story how things went. So let me first of all share the screen. So these were the two stories that I wanted to tell you. One second. अर्जुन उवाच स्थितप्रज्ञस्य का भाषा समाधिस्तस्य केशव स्थितधीः किं प्रभाषेत किम आसीत व्रजेत किम. So Arjuna is asking many questions here. ठीक है. Arjuna उवाच, Arjuna said, स्थित प्रज्ञस्य का भाषा. भाषा मतलब क्या होता है? भाषा मतलब लैंग्वेज होता है, बराबर. सो स्थित प्रज्ञस्य का भाषा. स्थित प्रज्ञ जो है, जिनके बारे में आप बात कर रहे हो, वन हु इज फिक्स्ड इन कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस, उनका भाषा क्या होता है? व्हाट लैंग्वेज डू दे स्पीक? समाधि सत्य केशव, है ना, ऑफ वन सिचुएटेड इन ट्रांस. ये स्थित प्रज्ञ जो है, दे आर सिचुएटेड इन समाधि, राइट? समाधि मीन्स ट्रांस. सो समाधि सत्य केशव, व्हाट इज देयर लैंग्वेज? ओके. स्थित धी किम प्रभाषेत. प्रभाषेत का मतलब क्या होता है? प्रभाषण मतलब क्या होता है? भाषण देना, है ना. तो प्रगाढ़ भाषण देना, जो बात करना, है ना. सो किम प्रभाषेत, हाउ डू दे स्पीक, है ना. किम, हाउ, हाउ डू दे स्पीक. किम आसीत व्रजेत किम. आसीत मीन्स टू सिट एट वन प्लेस और रिमेन स्टिल. ठीक है. तो कैसे बैठते हैं. और व्रजेत, व्रजेत का मतलब, व्रज मतलब ये होता है कि चलना, चलते रहना, मूविंग. व्रजेत किम, हाउ डू दे वॉक. So this is Arjuna's some question. Oh Krishna, who, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? Four questions, right? इसके अंदर, see these questions actually what Arjuna is trying to ask Krishna essentially, कि हम पहचाने किसे स्थित प्रज्ञ को, है ना. जो लोग स्थित प्रज्ञ हैं, हाउ कैन वी अंडरस्टैंड देम? How do they sit? How do they walk? How do they speak? All those things Arjuna is asking to Krishna. Now Krishna will give his reply. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Parthamano Atmanyevatmana Tushtha Sthita Prajnastadochyate. So first of all, Krishna is giving a definition of स्थित प्रज्ञ. ठीक है. श्री भगवान उवाच, श्री भगवान ने कहा. ठीक है. प्रजहाति यदा कामान. ठीक है. कामान पहले देखते हैं. काम मतलब क्या होता है? काम मतलब डिजायर्स. डिजायर को यहाँ पे काम बोला गया. इट इज नॉट नेसेसरली अ सेक्सुअल डिजायर. सेक्सुअल डिजायर इज ऑल्सो कामा, एंड दैट इज द मोस्ट फियरफुल फॉर्म ऑफ कामा. एक्चुअली वो जो डिजायर होता है ना, सी द डिजायर टू एंजॉय सेक्स लाइफ इज द रूट कॉज ऑफ आवर सफरिंग. It is the root cause why we are here. It is the root cause of all the sins that we commit. Okay, so he is telling that prajahati yada kaman. यदा, ये आपको याद होगा, पिछली बार भी हम लोग ने बोला यदा तदा वाला, when and then, वैसा. यदा means when. So prajahati is a new word. Prajahati means giving up, छोड़ देना, त्याग देना. प्रजहाति यदा कामन. ठीक है, गिविंग अप. when you give up kama, desires, sarvan मतलब everything, everywhere, all varieties. sarvan, partha, partha is arjuna himself. मनोगतान, देखो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. मनो मतलब मन, बराबर, मन, वो तो इट इज अंडरस्टूड. गतान का मतलब क्या होता है? इट इज ऑल्सो रिलेटेड, लाइक हिंदी में हम लोग गति सुनते हैं ना. गति मतलब क्या होता है? कई बार हम लोग गति मतलब स्पीड को गति बोलते हैं. गति इज अ डेस्टिनेशन वेर यू रीच. ठीक है. सो मनोगतान मीन्स वेर आर द माइंड टेक्स यू, राइट. सो मन से आपको जो डिजायर्स आ रहा है, जो काम आ रहा है, जितने भी अलग अलग प्रकार के, उन सबको जब कोई प्रजहाति, त्याग देता है ना. प्रजहाति यदा कामान सर्वान पार्थ मनोगतान. आत्मनि एव आत्मना तुष्ट. आत्मनि एव आत्मना तुष्टः. सो आत्मनि एव, आत्मनि मतलब अपने आत्मा में. ठीक है, आत्मा मीन्स हिज सेल्फ. तो ये आत्मा का मतलब होता है कि आपका जो एटर्नल स्वरूप है. लाइक जैसे कि पिछले बार हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया कि जीवेर स्वरूप है कृष्णेर नित्यदास. सो यू आर एटर्नली द सर्वेंट ऑफ कृष्णा. सो दैट इज योर आइडेंटिटी. व्हेन दैट आत्मा, व्हेन ऑन दैट ब्रह्मन somebody is eva atmana tushta. So the second atmana है ना, this refers to mind. ठीक है, आत्मा मतलब कभी कभार माइंड को भी आत्मा कहा जाता है. सो आत्मनि एव, सो ऑन योर सोल. एव, एव मतलब ओनली और सर्टेनली. आत्मना तुष्टः. हियर दिस आत्मना मीन्स माइंड. तुष्टः मीन्स प्यूरिफाइड. ठीक है, लाइक तुष्टः मीन्स सेटिस्फाइड एक्चुअली. सो द माइंड, हम लोग का जो मन है, यह अभी मलिन है. ठीक है, यही मन जब प्यूरिफाई होकर, और उसमें क्या बोलते हैं, हम जब सेटिस्फाई हो जाएंगे हर चीज से और प्यूरिफाई होएगा हमारा मन, वही मन से हम, हमारा जो आत्मा है, सोल है, स्पिरिट सोल विच इज एटर्नली द सर्वेंट ऑफ कृष्णा, हम उस पर ध्यान लगा कर बैठेंगे. ठीक है, हम उस पर एग्जिस्ट करेंगे. ठीक है, दैट इज स्थित प्रज्ञ ततो. सो वन सेकेंड, am I audible to you all? अच्छा, okay, somebody has joined, sorry. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so we see that atmani eva atmana tushtah, which means हमारे आत्मा पर, हमारा मन जो है, जो शुद्ध होकर सेटिस्फाइड हुआ हुआ मन से, हम लोग जब हमारे आत्मा पर, जो स्पिरिट सोल है हमारा. वैष्णव प्रभु, कैन यू म्यूट योर सेल्फ? इट इज अ बिट. सो आत्मनि एव आत्मना तुष्टः स्थित प्रज्ञ तदोच्यते. उच्यते means he is called what? Sthita prajna. So that personality is Sthita prajna. So this is the definition actually. The supreme personality of Godhead said, O Partha, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification which arises from mental concoction, and when his mind thus purified finds satisfaction in the self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So ये कौन से पर्सनालिटी के बारे में बात हो रहा है हमारे स्टोरी के अंदर से? यहाँ पे श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर के बारे में, राइट? क्योंकि when that prostitute came to him, ठीक है, तो इट इज वेरी ऑब्वियस दैट कि काम का उत्पन्न होना चाहिए था. बट प्रजहाति यदा कामान सर्वान पार्थ मनोगतन, मन से अराइज होने वाले सारे जो काम वासनाएं हैं, सबके सब उसका उसको सब छोड़ दिया, उसको सब गिव अप कर दिया। ठीक है। और क्या किया था, श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर was situated as the servant of Krishna with his purified mind. He was always situated in his transcendental position, transcendental consciousness, as the servant of Krishna. Atmani eva atmana tushtah, fully satisfied. So this sthita prajna taduchyate. So that sthita prajna, so he was a sthita prajna. आप समझे वो एग्जाम्पल के साथ आप लिंक कर पा रहे हो जो हम लोग ने स्टोरी बोला था इससे पहले। सो दिस इज हाउ वी कुड डिफाइन श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर विद द सेम श्लोका। दुखेष्व अनुद्विग्न मनाः, सुखेषु विगत स्पृहः, विताराग वीतराग भय क्रोधः, स्थितधीर्मुनिरुच्यते। ठीक है। दुखेषु अनुद्विग्न मनाः, दुखेशु मतलब मिजरीज, दुख जो होते हैं, देर आर थ्री फोल्ड मिजरीज इन आवर लाइफ। जो दुख मतलब हमारे सिचुएशन कंट्रोल में नहीं होने की वजह से जो दुख है, जो कोई दुख होता है जो दूसरे जीव जंतुओं से मिलता है, कोई दुख होता है जो नेचुरली हमको मिलता है, ऐसे बहुत सारे, देर आर थ्री फोल्ड मिजरीज इन आवर लाइफ। सो दीज थ्री फोल्ड मिजरीज, दिस दुख, दुखेश्व अनुद्विग्न मनाः। अनुद्विग्न मीन्स विदाउट बीइंग एजिटेटेड, बराबर। मन में आप एजिटेट हुए बिना, बराबर, ये दुखों में एजिटेट जो नहीं होता है, बराबर। अनुद्विग्न मनाः। ठीक है। सुखेशु विगत स्पृहः। देखो दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। अपन क्या करते हैं ना, अपन वन साइड के लिए कोशिश कर रहे हैं। बहुत सारे लोग हैं, हमने देखा है, जो लोग ऐसे करते हैं कि भाई दुखेश्व अनुद्विग्न मना तो ठीक है, ठीक है, कि हमको अफेक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए दुख से, दुख से अफेक्ट मत हो भाई, ठीक है, लेकिन ये जो पॉइंट है ना, सुखेशु विगत स्पृह, ये लोग अप्लाई नहीं कर पाते। कृष्णा यहाँ पे ये नहीं बोल रहे कि दुख जो होता है, दुख उसको अरे छोड़ो, इग्नोर करो, आगे बढ़ो, नहीं, आपको सुख को भी टॉलरेट करना है। उसका मतलब ये है कि आपका जब भी सुख वाला पीरियड चल रहा है ना, तभी भी आपको ओवर एक्साइट नहीं होना है और कैरिड अवे नहीं होना है। हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं, सो द पीपल हु आर स्थित प्रज्ञा, दे एक्चुअली टॉलरेट सुख ऑल्सो इन द सेम वे एज दुख। दे आर ऑलवेज इक्विपोइज्ड एंड ऑलवेज फोकसिंग on the higher nature. So that is their identity, we can see. So we can see sukheshu vikata sprihah. vikata sprihah मतलब इंटरेस्टेड ही नहीं है। स्पृहा मीन्स, स्पृहा का मतलब होता है कुछ डिजायर, विगत स्पृहा मतलब देर इज नो डिजायर, ऐसे आप बोल सकते हैं। सो इन सुख ऑल्सो दे हैव नो इंटरेस्ट, दैट इज द आइडिया। वीत राग भय क्रोध, राग मतलब अटैचमेंट, भय मतलब भय डर, और क्रोध मतलब क्रोध एंगर, तो हम लोग को पता है। सो वीत राग भय क्रोध, एंड दीज पीपल who are sthita prajna, they are free from raga bhaya and krodha. They have no attachment, no fear, and no krodha, anger, and such person is known as sthita dhir. धीर मतलब एक्चुअली इंटेलिजेंस होता है। सो स्थित धीर मतलब पर्सन हुज इंटेलिजेंस और द माइंड इज स्टडी। सो स्थित धीर मुनि रुच्यते। सो सच अ पर्सन इज नोन एज मुनि। Okay, so you can see here, one who is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear and anger, is called a sage of steady mind. जैसे सेम हरिदास ठाकुर का ही अगर स्टोरी हम लोग यहाँ पे कंटिन्यू करें, वी सी ऑल दीज थिंग्स इन हिम। ठीक है। जैसे कि दुखेश्व अनुद्विग्न मनाः। सो थ्री फोल्ड मिजरीज में से एक मिजरी आया उनके पास कि पीपल वर, सम पीपल वर एनवियस ऑफ हिम, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दे वर सेंडिंग प्रोस्टिट्यूट, and that prostitute has come in front of him, as far as he is concerned, in a form of a dukkha. For him, he should be agitated by that dukkha, saying that कि क्या यार, मैं तो हरि का नाम ले रहा हूँ लेकिन फिर भी लोग मेरे को envy करते हैं, this prostitute has come and she is inflicting suffering upon me. No, but he is anudvikna manaha. He's telling that he is, he is tolerating them, he is not agitated in his mind. Sukheshu Vigataspriha. And even in happiness, he is Vigataspriha without being interested. He is not interested in the pity happiness that that prostitute can offer him. Right? So he is Sukheshu Vigataspriha. He is not very interested. Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. Raga, he didn't have any attachment to that sense enjoyment. Bhaya, he was not afraid. लाइक दैट एग्जाम्पल जो वो बोलता ना कि वो एक बहुत पॉइजनस एक बहुत बड़ा स्नेक भी था वो गुफा में जहां पर वो बैठते थे उसके अंदर ही वुड पीसफुली सिट एंड चांट ही वाज नॉट अफ्रेड ही वाज इनसाइड द जंगल मिडल ऑफ द नाइट देयर इज नोबडी अराउंड हिम इनसाइड अ फॉरेस्ट ही इज सिटिंग एंड chanting the holy names does he have bhaya no he has no bhaya and there is no krodha in this example we can see if he had krodha he would at once become agitated and say that you prostitute you have come here to test my this thing you are trying to seduce me I am cursing you to death or whatever whoever people were envious he could pray to krishna that krishna take care of them Narsingadev come on he can do that but he didn't do that which means that he don't have krodha also so vita raga bhaya krodha sthitadir muniruchyate so such a person is of steady mind steady intelligence, and he is known as Muni. So now the word Muni is actually a very interesting word. क्यों पता है क्या? क्योंकि मुनि मतलब वो पर्सन होते हैं जो लोग है ना बहुत मेंटल स्पेकुलेशन करते हैं और वो लोग है ना ऐसा एंड देयर वे ऑफ रियलाइजिंग इज ओनली लाइक दैट दे वुड कीप ऑन यू नो engaging their intelligence in thinking and thinking and thinking different philosophical points and arguments and all those things. So Muni is a thinker actually. So a person who does not have a different type of thinking only from other munis was not considered a muni only in the previous time. But Krishna he is very clear here कि sthita dhir muni ruchyate. Sthita dhir muni is that person who is a muni whose mind is always fixed on Krishna. Uchyate. So we see that how the example of Haridas Thakur is fitting here in this scenario also. And even in our life, we have to understand this. Till the time we become Sthita Prajna, we have to try to become Sthita Prajna. See, Haridas Thakur is actually, हम लोग अभी अजामिल के लेवल पे. Haridas Thakur is very high above. He's Namachari. So he was already a Sthita Prajna. We have to try to become Sthita Prajna. How? By becoming the good sadhaka. And we have to follow in the footsteps of Srila Haridas Thakur, who was chanting the holy names, and because of his prema towards Krishna, he was Sthitaprajna. You can see, very practical, nothing else. When you love someone, you don't cheat them. That is the idea. In any other path, you don't have an object of love. You don't have Bhagwan in picture who is helping you and who is reciprocating with you. It is very easy to get carried away. The shloka is going to come. Aage Krishna is going to say the same thing. But the idea is that it is very simple. When you love someone, you cannot cheat them. If you are cheating them, then you are not loving. So that is the idea. To become sthitadhir, you should be, you should regularly chant the holy names so that we can also tolerate all these agitations of dukkha, this over excitement in sukha, this raga and dvesha and bhaya and krodha, all these things. So that we can also become sthita dhira. यः सर्वत्रानभिस्नेहस्तत्तत्प्राप्य शुभाशुभम् नाभिनन्दन्ति न द्वेष्टि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता यः सर्वत्र अनाभिस्नेहस ओके यह मीन्स वो वन हु ठीक है दैट पर्सन ऐसा यह सर्वत्र सर्वत्र मीन्स एवरीवेयर हर जगह पे हर चीज में सर्वत्र अनाभि स्नेहस अनाभि स्नेहस मतलब स्नेह मतलब क्या होता है अफेक्शन अनाभि स्नेहस मतलब विदाउट अफेक्शन ओके तत् तत् प्राप्य शुभ अशुभम okay all those things from which what is coming shubha ashubham good and bad tat tat that tat matlab that hota hai that things that sarvatra, those things which are actually from which we achieve what sukha and dukkha. Okay, towards that thing, this personality, yah, he does not have any affection. Okay, ना अभिनंदन्ति न द्वेष्टि. ठीक है, न अभिनंदन्ति, अभिनंदन करना मतलब क्या होता है कि किसी के बारे में अच्छा बोलना, है ना. न अभिनंदन्ति, he does not, you know, speak good also about that, about the that sarvatra, all those things. And न द्वेष्टि, and he doesn't even, और वो द्वेष भी नहीं करते उनसे, बुरा भी नहीं बोलते किसी का, अच्छा भी नहीं बोलते, बुरा भी नहीं बोलते. ठीक है, तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. And that is how his prajna, perfect knowledge, pratishtita, fixed. ठीक है. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, he is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. ठीक है. हमारा प्रॉब्लम क्या है, हम बहुत ज्यादा ही बड़बड़ करते हैं, है ना. हमारे साथ कुछ भी हो जाता है ना, हम उसके बारे में 10 जन, अरे ये बुरा हुआ, ये बुरा है, यहाँ पे ये है, वो है, ऐसा है. So that is why we cannot fix our mind on our, real nature. But we can see here कि स्थित प्रज्ञ वो रहता है, he does not have attachment towards all those things who are bringing in shubha and ashubha results. And he is neither doing abhinandan nor doing dveshti, बराबर, towards those things. And he is what, he is fixed, pratishtita, on his prajna, in perfect knowledge. ठीक है, such a person. And we see the same thing in Haridas Thakur, है ना. हरिदास ठाकुर, when the prostitute came in, ठीक है, शुभ हो या अशुभ हो, आया. ठीक है, but was he attached to her? No. Did he do abhinandan of her? No. Did he do dveshti of her? द्वेष दिखाया क्या उनको, किसी को जाके बुराई किया स्टोरी में, नहीं. So that's why he was still in prajna pratishtita. Now we should not misinterpret this verse. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि किसी से भी आपको, वो बोलते हैं ना, कुछ लोग ऐसा वो मरकट वैराग्य दिखा देते हैं ये सब देख के कि आई एम नॉट एजिटेटेड बाय एनीथिंग, आई विल नॉट स्पीक एनी गुड वर्ड्स. ऐसा नहीं है. ये वो चीजों के बारे में बात कर रहा है वेर योर माइंड गेट्स एजिटेटेड एंड वैंडर्स, एंड यू ट्राई टू गेन शुभ एंड अशुभ थिंग्स, एंड यू गेट अट्रैक्टेड टू द मटेरियल वर्ल्ड. इसके वजह से यहाँ पे वर्ड यूज किया मटेरियल वर्ल्ड. This doesn't mean that you should be, mauni and don't speak. We have to speak very nicely, very pleasantly, so that the other person is not agitated, or somebody is angry. But this doesn't mean that we should not speak only to someone. We should speak in a nice way and talk about Krishna and all those things. We should not do time pass. That is true. So such a person who is of steady intelligence, he is not attached to things which are bringing in shubha or ashubha results. Okay, neither he does abhinandan of those things, neither does he do dveshti, because he doesn't have time. Only why, he is fixed in his transcendental position, transcendental consciousness, you can see. So he is simply concerned with Krishna, you can see here, because he is simply concerned with Krishna. Prabhupada says it is very, a very beautiful purport. You can read them. Okay. यदा संहरते चायं कूर्मोऽङ्गानीव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियाणार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. यदा संहरते चायं, यदा, when, okay, संहरते, वाइंड्स अप, संहार करना मतलब बोलते हैं ना, संहार करना, खत्म करना. यदा संहरते चायम, च मतलब ऑल्सो या फिर एंड को हम लोग च बोलते हैं. अयम मतलब वो, ही, ऐसा. कूर्म, कूर्म मतलब क्या होता है, कूर्म मतलब टॉर्टोइस. कूर्म अंग अनीव, अंगानीव सर्वशः. कूर्म मतलब ही इज अ टॉर्टोइस. अंग मीन्स हिज लिम्स, है ना. So tortoise has 4 limbs, right? वो चारों लिम्ब है, शेल है ऊपर। और कूर्म क्या कर लेता है, अंगानी व सर्वशः। सो जस्ट लाइक यदा संहरते चा अयम, सो दैट tortoise who कूर्मोंग अंगानीव सर्वशः। सो वो क्या करता है, ऑल टुगेदर सर्वशः, वो सब उसके सारे अंगों को जिस तरीके से वो समहरत है, अपने अंदर ले लेता है, खत्म कर देता है, शेल के अंदर आ जाता है वो, बराबर। इंद्रियाणि इंद्रियार्थेभ्यस तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता। इंद्रियाणि, इंद्रियाणि मतलब हमारी इंद्रिय, सेंसेस, बराबर। इंद्रियार्थेभ्यस, इंद्रिय अर्थेभ्यस मतलब इंद्रिय का जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स है, इंद्रिय जिससे सुख लेने की कोशिश करते हैं, बराबर। जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल द आईज इज अटैच टू नाइस साइट्स, द नोज इज अटैच टू नाइस फ्रेग्रेंस, द टंग इज अट्रैक्टेड टू स्पीकिंग और tasting nice food, the skin is attached to nice touch and all those things. So जिस तरीके से, सो इंद्रिय इंद्रियाणी यार्थेभ्यस, तो इंद्रिय जो है उसको इंद्रियो आर्थेभ्यस मतलब इंद्रिय के जो सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स है उससे उस तरीके से हमको खींच लेना चाहिए जिस तरीके से यदा संहरते चायम कूर्मोंग नीव सर्वसः, कि जिस तरीके से एक कूर्म या फिर टॉर्टोइस अपने अंदर अपने लिम्स को खींच लेता है, ठीक उसी तरीके से इंद्रियों को इंद्रियों के वस्तुओं में से खींच लेना चाहिए। और ऐसे जो करता है तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता, एंड दैट इज द पर्सन हु इज अ स्थित प्रज्ञा। तो स्थित प्रज्ञा का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ये क्वालिटी है जो बता रहे। सो स्थित प्रज्ञा इज अ पर्सन वन हु इज एबल टू विथड्रॉ हिज सेंसेस फ्रॉम सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness, right? So this is actually something which is very interesting. You must understand, we must not allow our mind and our senses to wander everywhere. आजकल ये चीज हो रहा है, even in even if when we travel in local trains and all, we see that people are seeing all those nonsense. They are not concerned only about their mind. वो गीगो प्रिंसिपल होता है ना, गुड इन गुड आउट, गार्बेज इन गार्बेज आउट, वही चालू है। पीपल आर जस्ट एक्सेप्टिंग गार्बेज, all those web series पूरा गाली गलोच, एंड all those sexually inclined videos, वो सारा चीजें people are seeing and they are agitating their mind continuously. And what is happening as a result, their mind is wandering here and there all the time. They want sense gratification all the time, and they are becoming monsters. And this is the reason why all these crimes and all are increasing. Why? Because people are not controlling only themselves, they are just agitated by all these things. Their senses are wandering and there is nobody to control. So here Krishna gives a formula actually. Whenever there is an issue कि इंद्रिय जब भी इंद्रियार्थेशु जो वस्तु रहते हैं, सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स रहते हैं, उससे एक्सपोज होता है और एजिटेट होना चालू होता है या हो सकता है ऐसे सिचुएशन में, you have to pull those into yourself, and just like a tortoise withdraws his anga, his limbs whenever there is a danger. So जब तक हम लोग ये रियलाइज नहीं करेंगे कि वो चीज में डेंजर है, तब तक हम लोग ये करने के लिए क्यों आगे बढ़ेंगे, राइट? So that is the same thing. So what was Srila Haridas Thakur doing? He was not agitated, he was doing his rounds, he was chanting the holy name. So what did he do? He actually took away his senses, he pulled them like a tortoise, and he fixed them on the holy names of Krishna. And in that way, uh, he was acting as a sthita prajna, right? So this is the reason why, क्या होता है ना कि when we expose our senses too much on all these things, what happens is that there is no focus. जैसे हम लोग ने एक श्लोक पढ़ा था ना, व्यवसायत्मिका बुद्धि एकेह कुरुनंदन। सो बहुशा का अनंताश्च मतलब जो व्यक्ति एकमात्र पॉइंट पे रहता है ना, वो भगवत प्राप्ति करता है। बट आप एक पॉइंट पे रह ही कैसे सकते हो जब भी आपका पूरा सेंसेस इधर उधर डिविएटेड है, and they are trying to enjoy, and what happens is that those enjoyments, they look like enjoyment but there is no actual enjoyment. It is only going to give you suffering in the future in some way or the other, but it is certain that you are going to suffer because of those things. because of engaging your mind there. There is like we can see nowadays, people, they have a very loose, like I was a teacher at a college some time back. So I could see that today children have no focus, or the ability to concentrate has been lost. Why? Because of all these YouTube shorts and Instagram reels and all these things. What is happening कि आपके पास अटेंशन स्पैन ही नहीं है. आपका आदत ही है कि 1 मिनट में मेरे को सब कुछ देखना है. तो आप कैसे फोकस करोगे यहाँ पे? 3 घंटे का लेक्चर कैसे बैठोगे आप? क्योंकि आप फोकस ही नहीं कर पाओगे. आपका मन इधर उधर लेके जाएगा, आपको बोरिंग लगेगा आपको. सेकेंड थिंग, यू आर एक्सपोज टू ऑल दो सेंसुअल थिंग्स, विच गिव्स चीप थ्रिल्स. आपको पता है असुरा का एक डेफिनेशन है. असुरा, असु मीन्स इंस्टेंट एंड र मीन्स रमनतेषु. सो इंस्टेंटली जो रमना मतलब एंजॉयमेंट्स ढूंढता है ना, इंस्टेंट एंजॉयमेंट्स, उसको असुर कहते हैं. अभी तो सब कुछ इंस्टेंट है ना, फास्ट फूड ये वो वट एवर. बट असुरा का मतलब ही वो होता है, दे डोंट हैव द एबिलिटी टू यू नो stay focused or have patience. They want instant. So what happens is they get exposed to all these nonsense, these sensual and all these things. And what happens is their mind is carried away because of that forcefully. Now we can see Krishna only will say that how the mind carries away the intelligence of a person करके. See, विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोऽप्यस्य param drishtva nivartate. Here Krishna is saying कि how you can rise above all these things. विषया विनिर्वर्तन्ते. विषय, विषय मतलब क्या होता है? The objects of sense enjoyment. विषय, ठीक है. And विषयी is that person who is attached to all those sense objects and he tries to indulge in them. ठीक है, means 99% of the population. विषया विनिवर्तन्ते. विनिवर्तनते मतलब आर प्रैक्टिस्ड टू बी रेफरेंड फ्रॉम. विनिवर्तनते कि हम लोग विषय से दूर होना चाहते हैं. विषय को वो बोलते हैं ना, विषय से अपने आप को कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं. विषया विनिवर्तनते निराहार से देहिनः. निराहार, निराहार मतलब एज द दिस थिंग गोस, आहार मतलब खाना, निराहार मतलब नहीं खाना. बट हियर कृष्णा इज यूजिंग द वर्ड निराहारस्य विथ अ पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ रेस्ट्रिक्शन. निराहारस्य मतलब ऑल दोस सेंस एंजॉयमेंट से निराहार लेना, नहीं मतलब ये नहीं करना, बाय नेगेटिव रेस्ट्रिक्शंस. निराहारस्य देहिनः. देहिना मतलब जो देह को धारण किया है, देहिना द बॉडी. रस वर्जम, गिविंग अप द टेस्ट. रस मतलब क्या होता है? रस मतलब टेस्ट होता है. रस वर्जम, वर्जित कर देना, लाइक गिविंग अप द टेस्ट. रस वर्जम रसोपि अस्य. रस मीन्स सेंस ऑफ एंजॉयमेंट, रसः. अपि अस्य, अपि अस्य मतलब इवन दो इट इज देयर, ठीक है, उसके अंदर वो रसवर्जम कर रहा है, बट स्टिल रस अपि अस्य, इन हिम. अस्य मीन्स इन हिम. रस अपि, दैट that sense of enjoyment is still there. मतलब इट इज नॉट गोइंग टू गो अवे बिकॉज इट इज देयर इन दिस बॉडी, राइट. तो वो चीज कभी नहीं होगा कि वो चला जाए. आप हमेशा वो टेंडेंसी आपके अंदर ही रहेगा, वो रस को ये करने का. इवन दो यू आर डूइंग रसवर्जम. रसवर्जम रसोप्यस्य परम दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते. परम मीन्स हायर, सुपीरियर, है ना. परमेश्वर मतलब ईश्वरों को भी ईश्वर. परम, परम दृष्ट्वा निवर्तते. दृष्ट्वा मीन्स एक्सपीरियंसिंग, एक्सपीरियंसिंग. निवर्तते, ही सीजेस फ्रॉम. ठीक है. So, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains. ठीक है. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. So this is very important. ठीक है. जैसे कि हमारा जो दो केसेस थे, एक अजामिल था और दूसरा था हमारा श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर. तो श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर was able to tolerate विषया विनिर्वर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिना. Why? Because he had already param drishtva nivartate. Because he had taste for Krishna, which is a higher taste. He had taste for the holy name, right? Param Drishta Nivartate. It is very difficult to give up something, or it is impossible to give up something unless and until you get a better thing, something better. उसके बिना आप you cannot leave something. So if you want to leave something which is of a lower nature, you should get something which is of higher nature. That is it. So this chanting of the holy names, and it establishes a relationship between you and Krishna. So when you have that relationship, it becomes very easy to give up all these lower natures, like the four regulative principles: no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxication. All these four things. It is very difficult in the beginning to live. We all might have been in some of the four, or all of the four, this thing, but and it becomes almost impossible to leave them. But at the same time, when we get that higher taste with Krishna, when Krishna reciprocates with his love with us, and we get that taste of chanting the holy names by the kripa of Vaishnavas, we develop a taste for hearing about Krishna. That is when we actually get out of all those lower natures. है ना? So param drishtva nivartate. So he just fixes himself in that consciousness, in that fixed consciousness. How? By experiencing a higher taste. So just like in our example, or on the contrary, Ajamila never had any higher taste, जिसके वजह से he fell prey to Maya. He fell prey to that situation. He fell prey to the urges of his senses. Okay. यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः. दिस वाज द वर्स आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट. यततो, ठीक है, यततो मतलब कोशिश करना, टू एंडेवर. यततो ही अपि कौन्तेय, certainly, in spite of, in spite of you trying to conquer your mind or trying to control yourself, वो एंडेवर करते हो ना आप. यततो, यततो ही अपि कौन्तेय, कौन्तेय इज अर्जुना, कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः. पुरुषस्य मतलब दैट पर्सन, ऑफ अ मैन. पुरुषस्य, सो हियर पुरुषस्य का मतलब सिर्फ मैन नहीं होता, वो जेंडर ये नहीं है. ही इज नॉर्मली टेलिंग अबाउट एवरीवन कि पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः. विपश्चितः मतलब फुल ऑफ डिस्क्रिमिनेटिंग नॉलेज. तो आपके पास नॉलेज है कि क्या मटेरियल है, क्या स्पिरिचुअल है, मेरे को क्या नहीं करना चाहिए, वो सारा चीज है. और आप उसकी तरफ एंडेवेयर कर रहे हो. जैसे कि आपको पता है कि फोर रेगुलेटिव प्रिंसिपल्स का पालन करना चाहिए, नहीं तो फिर वो गलत होता है. और आप क्या कर रहे हो, वो नॉलेज में आप वो चीज का एंडेवेयर कर रहे हो कि आप वो चीज अपने मन को कंट्रोल में रख पाओ, सेंसेस को कंट्रोल में रख पाओ. बट इंद्रियाणी प्रमाथीनी, लेकिन इंद्रियाणी, आपका जो इंद्रिय है, आपकी जो सेंसेस है, प्रमाथीनी, इट विल एजिटेट, इट विल बी एजिटेटेड, इट विल एजिटेट योर माइंड. इंद्रियाणी प्रमाथीनी हरंती पशभम मनः, प्रशभम मनः. हरंती मतलब हरण कर लेना, अपहरण बोलते ना, किडनैप. सो इंद्रियाणी प्रमाथीनी. सो दीज इंद्रियास, दीज सेंसेस विल एजिटेट, क्योंकि इंद्रिया हमेशा एक्सपोज है ना ये सबसे. सो दैट विल एजिटेट, एंड इट विल कैरी अवे, इट विल किडनैप, एंड इट विल टेक अवे, स्टील अवे व्हाट? प्रशभम मनः. प्रशभम का मतलब होता है कि बाय फोर्स it will harantam, haranti prashabham, forcefully kidnap, forcefully take away what? Manah, your mind. ठीक है. So Krishna is saying that the senses are so strong and impetuous, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. राइट. अगर आप एंडेवर कर रहे हो कंट्रोल करने का, और आप बहुत कोशिश कर रहे हो अपने एंड से, लेकिन फिर भी आपका इंद्रिय उतना स्ट्रांग होता है कि वो कैरी अवे कर सकता है आपके मन को, और आपको गिरा सकता है नीचे. दिस देयर इज ऑलवेज अ पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ फॉल डाउन. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, इन दिस कनेक्शन देयर इज अ स्टोरी ऑफ अ ग्रेट मुनि. हिज नेम वाज विश्वामित्र. सो विश्वामित्र मुनि जो थे ना, ही वॉज एक्चुअली मेडिटेटिंग, ठीक है, फॉर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ ईयर. वो टाइम ऐसा था, एंड ही वॉज मेडिटेटिंग, एंड ही वॉज फॉर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ ईयर्स ही वॉज परफॉर्मिंग ऑस्टेरिटीज. एट दैट टाइम जब भी यहाँ से कोई भी ऐसे सब यू नो ये करता है ना कि बहुत ज्यादा ही अच्छा साधना और क्या बोलते हैं मेडिटेशन और यज्ञ इत्यादि सब करते हैं ना, तो इन ऊपर ना ऊपर के डेमिगॉड्स जो रहते हैं जैसे इंद्र है, इंद्रा बिकम्स वेरी अफ्रेड कि ये मेरे पोजीशन के लिए तो नहीं कर रहा है ये ऐसा, तो दे बिकम एजिटेटेड. So in the same way, they become afraid. ठीक है, they don't want to lose their position. After all, it is also material. It is also going to go away at some point of time. But when people are attached to it, we don't realize it, and we end up doing many things that we must not. So once Vishwamitra Muni was doing this, and Indra got afraid. कि बाप रे, ये मेरा कुर्सी पे तो हुक्म के लिए तो नहीं कर रहा है ना ये करके थोड़ा. So what did he do? He arranged for a celestial damsel, an apsara, and he gave her a particular task. So if I'm not wrong, it was Menaka. Menaka नाम की एक ये है, and he told her that you go and agitate Vishwamitra. So she went. So Vishwamitra Muni was in his meditation, and she went there. And when she went there, and Vishwamitra Muni heard the sound of her nupur. ठीक है, और वो जब साउंड सुनते हैं ना, उतने में ही उनका मन मतलब एजिटेट होना चालू होता है. नाउ यू सी, यू कनेक्ट दिस. विश्वामित्र मुनि इज अ मुनि, ही इज अ सेज, so he certainly has knowledge and discrimination power, but still his senses, his senses had the capability just by listening to the nupur. He is not even seeing her, just by listening to the nupur, his senses actually started agitating his mind. आंखें खोल के तो देख ले कौन है, अरे कुछ तो होगा, देख तो ले कम से कम. देख लिया तो खत्म है गेम, नहीं देखना चाहिए था. बट व्हाट डिड यू डू? बिकॉज हिज माइंड वाज एजिटेटिंग, सेड हाँ ठीक है देख लेता हूँ. एंड ही ओपनड हिज आईज एंड ही सॉ हर, मेनका, एंड ही वाज लाइक it was done for him. Now because he has also seen her, one more sense into action, and he saw her dancing, and he got carried away, and forcibly he knew that he is going to fall down, but still his indriyas forcefully dragged his mind out of him and took him to sense gratification. He enjoyed sex with her, sexual affair with her, that apsara, and he fell down. His years and years of austerities were lost because of that. और क्या हो गया? खत्म, सब खत्म हो गया. बराबर है, he fell down. Now she went back and he is just gone. अभी he sat down again and zero से वापस start किया उन्होंने. The story doesn't end. He started again, and for thousands and thousands of years he did penance. Again Indra was a bit you know fearful, and what did he do? He arranged for an apsara to go. Same script. She went there and she started dancing, and just by listening to it, this time his indriyas, when they were trying to carry away his mind, he was agitated, and he told that you came here to make sure that I fall down, I curse you. And he was fierce, and he cursed that apsara. लास्ट टाइम काम के वजह से नीचे गिरे थे, इस टाइम क्रोध से नीचे गिर गए. बराबर. सो इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी दैट ऑलवेज इट इज वन फ्लेवर. देर आर डिफरेंट फ्लेवर. काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह, मत, मात्सर्य, बहुत सारे फ्लेवर है. इसके अंदर से कोई भी फ्लेवर से आप नीचे गिर सकते हैं. Right, the second time he fell down because of krodha, and again thousands of years of austerities were gone. So what I'm trying to say is Krishna is very clearly telling here, even if you are if you have steady intelligence with all knowledge and discriminating power, but still your senses have that capability to drive away your mind because your senses are very strong. So controlling your mind is very important. जस्ट बाय वन साइट हो सकता है कि हम लोग एक गलत रास्ता चल ले, एंड वी ऑल हैव दिस एक्सपीरियंस, है ना. some things we can say in public, some things we cannot say in public, but still we know that how our mind tricks us, how our senses tricks us to uh, get into that cheap thrills and all. Yeah, that was Menaka only. Here Prabhupada is also mentioning in his purports Menaka. He has also mentioned the story. Okay. And now Prabhupada here also mentions actually a verse by Srila Yamunacharya, a great saint devotee of Krishna. He also wrote a very beautiful verse. This is actually, uh, and this yat avadhi mama chetah krishna padaravindayor nava rasa dhama धामन्युदन् उद्यतं रन्तुमासु तत् अवधिबतनारि संगमे स्मर्यमाने भवति मुखविकारः सुष्ठु निष्ठिवनं च. So what is he saying? Since my mind has been engaged in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord Sri Krishna, and I have been enjoying an ever new transcendental humor. Whenever I think of sex life with a woman, my face at once turns from it, and I spit on that thought. You see the difference? Why? Because in bhakti, the things are a bit nice. Why? Because Krishna reciprocates. It gives you a higher taste. है ना? You get that param drishtva nivartate. So because of that, you can see that it helps us a lot when it comes to doing bhakti, and you can very easily attain, which is impossible for the others to do. Right. तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. तानि मतलब दैट, ओके, दैट सेंसेस. सो पिछला जो श्लोक था वो सेंसेस के बारे में बोल के खत्म हुआ था ना, ये सेंसेस बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग इम्पिटस है करके. सो तानि, दैट सेंसेस, सर्वाणि संयम्य. सर्वाणि मतलब ऑल, सर्व, सर्वाणि संयम्य, कीपिंग अंडर कंट्रोल, संयम्य, कंट्रोल में रख के, युक्त, युक्त मतलब एंगेज होना, कुछ करना, युक्त आसीत मत पर. आसीत मतलब क्या होता है? शुड बी सिचुएटेड, एक जगह पे सिचुएट होना, बैठना. आसीत मत पर. मत मीन्स कृष्ण, मत मीन्स मी. सो कृष्णा इज टेलिंग मत पर, इन रिलेशनशिप विथ मी. ठीक है, इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत पर. ठीक है. वशे ही यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. वशे ही, वश में करना. सर्टेनली, ही मतलब सर्टेनली, वशे ही होगा ही, वश में, वश में होगा ही. वशे ही यस्येन्द्रियाणि, यस्य, one who's who is that person who is yukta asita matpraha, who is engaged with, focusing, or having a relationship with Krishna. Yasya, one who's indriyani, senses, tasya prajna pratishtita, and that person, his, tasya prajna, consciousness, is pratishtita, is fixed. Okay. One who restrains his senses, keeping them under full control, and fixed his consciousness upon me, is known as a man of steady integrity. You can see Krishna is, this is the first time Krishna is actually speaking about him, and focusing your mind on him. And this is what I was telling before. So it becomes very easy if we can focus our mind on Krishna. And यमुनाचार्य का वो जो वर्स है, वो चीज, वो बोलते हैं ना, वो जो चीज है, इट कम्स टू आवर माइंड. एंड कि जिस तरीके से व्हेन यू आर फोकसिंग योर माइंड ऑन कृष्णा, वो टाइम पे क्या होता है कि आप अपना, बोलते हैं कि नहीं, इट बिकम्स इजी टू बी फोकस्ड, एंड on those thoughts you can just spit over those thoughts. So in this context, all Prabhupada quotes a beautiful verse, 9.4.8 from Bhagavatam. So it is basically how you, render devotional service, and how your senses are controlled. Uske upar hai. You should definitely read this purport. It's a very beautiful long purport. So yes. So Krishna is saying that mat paraha, focusing on me, in a relationship with me, you perform bhakti. You understand? So Krishna is certainly speaking about bhakti here. So this is why I was telling last time also कि कैसा होता है ना, at the end of the day Krishna, see, Prabhupada knows Krishna's heart, the acharyas know Krishna's heart. इसकी वजह से they were talking about bhakti since very beginning only, because at the end of the day, see, ये सब बोलने के बाद में भी एंड में भगवान आए और बोले कि मत मेरे पे लगा, दैट इज परफेक्ट. ये करके. So in order, if we see, so Krishna is simply saying that bhakti. So Krishna always in Bhagavad Gita, you can see that even though if he is talking about karma yoga, about karma or jnana, और भक्ति itself. He is always give prominence to bhakti, वो चीज देखेंगे. But people who are less intelligent and they want to give their own mental speculations, they speculate on all these matters. But you can see from Sanskrit itself, हम लोग ने देखा कि how clearly he is saying. ठीक है. Now there are two shlokas. We'll connect these two, and we'll wind up the session. So this shloka will be directly connecting to the story of Ajamila, and we can see that, and we can connect our lives also with this. ठीक है. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषोपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते. The next is क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहात् सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमम् स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः. ठीक है. ध्यायतो मतलब कॉन्टेम्पलेटिंग, ध्यान लगाना. ध्यायतो वेर विषयान, विषय में मतलब सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स में. ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसः, पुंसः मीन्स दैट पर्सन. ठीक है. ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसः संगस्तेश उपजायते. संग मतलब क्या होता है? संग मतलब अटैचमेंट. संगस्तेश उपजायते. when you know contemplate on a sense object, you develop an attachment for that sense object. Just like in the case of Ajamila. Ajamila saw the sight. His indriyas were agitated, right? And what did he do? मैंने बार बार बोला, he was regularly contemplating on how that Shudra and that, that prostitute they were mating and all those things. So ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषोपजायते. He developed an attachment for that prostitute because of that. संगात संजायते कामात. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ द अटैचमेंट संगात संजायते, उसके साथ साथ में क्या आ जाएगा? कामा, डिजायर. बिकॉज ऑफ द अटैचमेंट डिजायर डेवलप्स. एंड कामात क्रोधो भी जायते. एंड विथ काम, विथ डिजायर, क्रोध comes, means anger. When the desire is unfulfilled, krodha comes, right? We can see that. And that is how it happened, right? Ajamila, he wanted to do all those things. His family was very pious. They were not allowing. He kicked them out of the house. Krodha, right? Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshopajayate sangat samjayate kamat krodho vijayate. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Is a very beautiful formula that Krishna is speaking. In our life also we can see this, right? हम लोग सबसे पहले कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा देख लेते हैं जो हम लोग को चाहिए रहता है, और वो देखने के बाद में हम लोग बोलते हैं. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल, एकदम सिंपल बोलूं, ऐसे हम लोग चल के जा रहे थे, तो एक बहुत बड़ा होर्डिंग देखा हम लोग ने, और वो होर्डिंग पे ऐसा लिखा था कि आपको मिलेगा ये मोबाइल है 1,25,000 का, इसमें ऐसा ऐसा कैमरा है, ये है, वो है, बहुत सारे फीचर्स है. वी सॉ दैट. एंड उसके बाद में मैं जब किधर भी जा रहा था ट्रेन पकड़ते टाइम, कॉन्टेम्पलेटिंग, वाओ नाइस मोबाइल, ओनली 1,25,000, ईएमआई पे ले लेंगे, किडनी बेच देंगे, ये सारा चीजें होगा. वी आर कॉन्टेम्पलेटिंग. बिकॉज ऑफ दैट कॉन्टेम्पलेशन, अटैचमेंट फॉर दैट ऑब्जेक्ट डेवलप्ड, एंड दैट अटैचमेंट लीड्स टू व्हाट? माय डिजायर टू बाय दैट प्रोडक्ट. मेरे को चाहिए. एंड दिस इज हाउ इवन द एडवर्टाइजमेंट इंडस्ट्रीज लूर यू, राइट? दे पुट दैट थिंग इनसाइड यू. एक वो बोलते हैं ना, कॉन्टेम्पलेशन के लिए एक सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट डाल देते हैं आपके दिमाग में. सो यू आर कॉन्स्टेंटली थिंकिंग ऑफ इट नाउ, and now you want, that desire has developed. Kama, so because of that desire you came home and told your father कि पप्पा बस 1,25,000 का ही फोन है, ले लूँ क्या? And your dad opened the door and told you कि along with the phone leave the house, है ना? जो भी करना है घर के बाहर कर लेना. तो अभी आपका अनफुलफिल्ड है वो डिजायर, वो लस्ट. फिर क्या होगा? फिर आपको क्रोध आएगा आपके घर वालों के ऊपर, है कि नहीं? बिकॉज इट इज अनसेटिस्फाइड नाउ. एंड व्हाट इफ इट गेट सेटिस्फाइड? चलो अलग है. व्हाट इफ इट गेट सेटिस्फाइड? यू विल लूज द टेस्ट आफ्टर सम टाइम. वो नॉर्मल हो जाएगा आपके लिए. नया फोन है यार, फोन का ये चला जाएगा. या फिर कोई और चीज है, जैसे कि पैसा है, मनी, you will develop greed because of that. This kama, lust is the root. Because of lust, either greed comes or this thing comes. What do you say? Krodha, anger comes. सो ईदर वेज आप फंस गए अभी। आपको या तो ऐसा हो सकता है कि आप आपको क्रोध आ रहा है, नहीं तो फिर ऐसा हो सकता है कि आप लोभी बन गए, लोभ आ गया आप, राइट। सो देन कृष्णा सेज क्रोधात व्हाट हैपेंस आफ्टर क्रोधात भवति सम्मोहः, ठीक है। भवति मतलब होना, भवति सम्मोहः, सम्मोह मीन्स डिल्यूजन, सम्मोहित हो गए, मोहित हो गए, डिल्यूजन, इल्यूजन में पड़ जाते हो आप, जैसे ही क्रोध आता है ना, समोह, सम्मोहात स्मृति विभ्रमम, स्मृति मीन्स मेमोरी, विभ्रमम मीन्स it is gone, vibramah. So your memory is lost. We can see whenever we have this experience, जब भी हम लोग को गुस्सा आता है, हम लोग सब कुछ भूल जाते हैं कि वो व्यक्ति ने उससे पहले तुम्हारे लिए क्या अच्छा किया था, क्या बुरा किया था, जो कुछ भी है अच्छा बुरा सब आप भूल जाते हो जैसे आपको गुस्सा आता है। सो क्रोधात भवति सम्मोहात, सम्मोहात के वजह से इल्यूजन में फंस जाते हैं, इल्यूजन की वजह से स्मृति विभ्रमम, यू फॉरगेट एवरीथिंग। स्मृति भ्रंशात बुद्धिनाशः, जैसे ही स्मृति चला गया, योर गुड इंटेलिजेंस इज ऑल्सो गॉन। स्मृति भ्रंशात बुद्धि नाश हो, बुद्धि का नाश हो जाता है, और बुद्धि का जैसे ही नाश हो गया प्रणश्यति, यू फॉल डाउन। विश्वामित्र वाला एग्जाम्पल इफ यू रिमेंबर, क्रोध के वजह से समोह, समोह स्मृति विभ्रम, और उसके बाद में बुद्धि नाश हो, ही कर्स्ड एंड ही फेल डाउन अगेन, हजारों साल का तपस्या ऐसे ही गॉन। सो दिस अप टू दिस पॉइंट कृष्णा हैज गिवन फॉर्मूला एक्चुअली। तो हम लोग को क्या करना है, हम लोग मतलब इसमें से क्या हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं कि वो ध्याय तो विषय पुंसा वाला स्टेज है ना, उस पर ही फुल स्टॉप लगा लो भाई। देखो गलत थॉट्स आपको आएगा, बिकॉज कृष्णा हैज क्लियरली सेड कि आपका जो सेंसेस है वो हमेशा सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट्स के लिए भागता ही रहेगा, उसको आप रोकोगे कैसा, वो भागेगा और वो एजिटेट करने का कोशिश करेगा और मन को फोर्सफुली लेके जाएगा, लेकिन फोर्सफुली लेके जाने से पहले ये सारा स्टेप्स फॉलो करेगा। पहले ध्याय तो विषय पुंसा, फिर संग अटैचमेंट, और एक बार अटैचमेंट हो गया तो आपका गेम ओवर है, क्योंकि अटैचमेंट हो गया तो डिजायर आना ही है, और डिजायर अगर आ गया तो एक एक स्टेज जैसे ऊपर 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 जा रहा है ना, थिंग्स बिकम डिफिकल्ट एंड यू गेट एंटेंगल्ड एंटेंगल्ड एंड एंटेंगल्ड। सो बेटर इट इज दैट एट द वेरी फर्स्ट प्रिलिमिनरी स्टेज वी फाइंड आउट, अरे ध्याय तो विषय, अरे यार मैं क्यों कॉन्टेम्पलेट कर रहा हूँ इस पे इतना ज्यादा, छोड़ कुछ और एंगेज करता हूँ, कुछ और कर लेता हूँ, कुछ अच्छा कर लेता हूँ, माला कर लेता हूँ, ऐसा। So at that stage we have to stop. People at times, they ask about, they go for all sort of courses like anger management or such, but they are not understanding the basic root problem. The root problem is attachment. The root problem is your expectation from the other person, the expectation from the situation, trying to control the situation and curb the situation, which is not under your control. Right? Karmanyavadhikarasте ma phaleshu kadachana, not phala. None of the situations are under your control, so you are trying to control those situations which were never under your control, which is not under your control, which is never going to be under your control, and you are becoming frustrated, and because of that samoha, samoha smritibram buddhinasha, buddhinasha pranashyati, fall down, continue, vicious cycle. So better it is to identify. And how will you identify? When you have knowledge, and not only knowledge but also intelligence. And what is that intelligence? Buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga means bhakti yoga. माला करो, सारा इंटेलिजेंस अपने आप आएगा, कृष्णा विल हेल्प यू एंड यू कैन परफेक्ट योर लाइफ। विद दैट, हरे कृष्णा, थैंक यू सो मच, आई होप दिस इज हेल्पफुल you. If there are any doubts, kindly ask me, unmute yourself and ask me.
No doubts as of now.
अच्छा,
Hare Krishna.
okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you. How about others? Akash Prabhu. And can I end the session then?
Yes, 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 Prabhu.
Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. We'll meet
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
by tomorrow. We may finish. Okay. Only some
Yes.
shlokas are left, so we'll finish second chapter and we can move forward. थोड़ा टाइम लग रहा है, but what can we do? थोड़ा अच्छे से करना चाहिए ना अपने को, इसलिए। Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.